Hello everyone, how's it going? My name is Amethyst, and today we're going to be reacting to Rate Up Ratio's recent video, Movement is the Best Thing About Wuthering Waves. Now, I love the movement in this game. I think it's some of the best movements I've played in almost any gacha game and game as of recently. You guys know my opinion on the combat, and you guys know my opinion on the movement as a whole, running up the walls, the parkour, the grappling, the jumping, the combat, the echoes, basically everything to do with the movement or everything to do with the mechanics of this game. You guys know my thoughts on it. So today we're going to be listening to what Rate Up Ratio has to say about the movement, and yeah, give our input, give our say in the matter. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hit that like and subscribe button, leave a comment down below, and without further ado, let's begin this.
Movement is at the core of any action game, and
True.
it's why Wuthering Waves feels so good both in and out of combat.
Yes.
Even the most basic of basics are fun. Take running, for example.
Yes.
Dashing at first uses a tiny bit of stamina, but prolonged sprinting outside of combat doesn't cost any stamina.
Another thing that this game has done very, very well is the fact that sprinting doesn't use up stamina, which means you can get around the map quicker. And the fact that obviously it drains stamina when you're in combat, but when you're out of combat, when you're sprinting, it doesn't consume stamina. And the fact that the stamina depletes at a steady rate, not rapid. If you look at Genshin or anything like that, the stamina depletes quite quickly. In Wuthering Waves, the stamina depletes quite moderately, unless you're using dashes so many times in a row in combat or something like that. But yeah, that's such a good feature, the fact that you can just sprint for as long as you want. Run up walls, obviously running up walls uses stamina, but again, the depletion rate of the stamina bar in this game isn't that bad, and it's so easy for you to gain more and more stamina. It doesn't really matter because you very rarely run out of stamina. Very, very rarely to run out of stamina.
At all. This alone makes movement feel leagues better than so many other games. But the best part is that there's no obstacle in your way that you can't run through.
Yeah.
Well, for the most part.
Parkour.
When you approach most vertical surfaces, your character will just run straight up it. If you're not sprinting, they'll do a slow climbing animation.
Yep, we all know that
but you
climbing
get
animation.
such a high stamina cap in this game that you can run straight up pretty much any cliff
That's
you
what
want.
I was talking about, yeah.
Not to mention, if ever there's a part of a cliff or a building that gets in your way, the character you're controlling will just flip up over it. It truly feels like you can climb anywhere.
It does feel limitless. Obviously, there are places you genuinely cannot go, but for 80 to 90% of the map, you can climb up and jump up anything. And as Rate Up was saying, the stamina depletion rate is so slow, and the stamina cap is so high that you can literally run up and climb up anything and not have to worry about your stamina depletion. So this part of the movement is chef's kiss, of course.
While fall damage does exist in Wuthering Waves,
It does.
it's not very harsh. It takes a pretty big fall for your character to just perish. And there are a few different ways around it. Of course, you can just glide, that's simple. But you can also do a plunge attack from any height and you'll be totally safe. It doesn't deal any damage.
I'm so happy they have the plunging attacks, don't deal full damage. It's such a good way just to, if you're really up high gliding, and the gliding is rather slow in this game. So if you just want to dive down and sprint instead, you can literally just dive, plunge attack, get to the bottom and just sprint. It's so much better. It's so much better. I'm so glad you don't lose health off doing a plunging attack from a high up altitude
To your character at all. And it can also be the fastest way of dropping from a great height. Speaking of gliding, all that stamina I mentioned means that you can just glide and glide and glide. If you jump off a high enough surface, you can pretty much get to anywhere you see
That's insane.
just by gliding. Seriously, I can't praise this game's generous stamina cap enough. It feels
Is Rate Up's like VTuber model or 2D print model based off 02 from from Darling in the Franxx. Is that what it's based off? I mean, correct me if I'm wrong.
Feels really good.
Just something I wanted to
But another
add
neat
in there.
feature of gliding is that you can swap your characters mid-air.
That's so
It's not
cool.
only seamless, helping you prepare for any battles you're about to engage in, but you can use this switching to pull off some cool techniques if you know your
These
stuff.
little tidbits and
And
little
then
details
there's
are great.
swimming. Swimming sucks, but there are ways to avoid it, and that feels good. It makes you feel like you're good at the game when you avoid any body of water. I'll come back to this one. Even basic combat maneuvers like dodging feel great, and that's in part because you can do it as many times in a row as you want, as long as you perfect dodge. Spam that dodge button too.
I didn't know that. I thought if you dodge, it uses stamina, but if you perfect dodge, it doesn't use stamina. Oh, megate no kokui, ultra instincto.
Too much and you'll get punished. So while it's not free, it encourages precision and it makes you feel really good at the game when you do it
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
Just make sure you don't dodge the subscribe button. But as good as the basic
Already
movement feels,
subscribed.
Wuthering Waves takes it further with character-specific movement. One thing to note is that a character's running speed and jump height is determined by how
Didn't know
tall
that,
they are.
didn't know that.
So the shortest characters run the slowest and the tallest characters run the fastest. I'm
Okay.
not sure if this is something I love or hate, but it's definitely noticeable when I'm playing Verena.
It's a very realistic feature to have for movement. Yes, if you're playing as Verena or Encore, you're gonna run really slow, but at the same time, it's like, what is it? Is a child going to be running at 50,000 miles an hour? Can a child outrun Calcaro? Can a child outrun John? I don't think so. just have Calcaro or someone of height in your team. Have Yinlin in your team or something. Have Yuan Wu in your team or something, you know?
So it's a pretty good thing that Verena has a trick up her sleeve that helps offset her slow run speed, and that's this little
Yeah.
slide she can do.
She can do the
It
slide.
uses up some stamina, so you can't do it infinitely, but she can do it a good few times in a row if you want that extra boost. Meanwhile,
pretty cool.
someone like GN is both very tall and has a cool trick up his sleeve. He can actually use his resonance skill in midair, and that opens up a whole
That's pretty cool.
world of movement for him. But again, we'll come back to this. What I want to know is, which character is your favorite to run around as?
Yuan Wu. Yuan Wu is my favorite character, full stop. Yuan Wu is my favorite character, full stop. Until Geshu Lin comes out, Yuan Wu is at the top spot.
Which one feels the best? Wuthering Waves' main gimmick is its ecosystem, which allows you to collect a bunch of different creatures. Each
I am still yet to use the Inferno Rider to traverse the map. I really should.
capable of doing something unique, which, depending on the skill, can be useful either in or out of combat. Take Inferno Rider. You might know that by holding down the Echo skill button, you can transform into Inferno Rider and drive around for a few seconds.
Yep.
Definitely one of the more awesome transformations
It's
in the
cool,
game.
it's a cool feature.
But there are ways around that limited time you can stay transformed. If you want to keep driving, you could, for example, set up a secondary team of any 3 characters, equip them all with Inferno Rider, and then keep swapping between them,
yeah,
each one
yeah.
using Inferno Rider's movement
Yeah.
skill. Then you
Fair
can
enough.
drive for as long as you want. Or until you accidentally tap the button instead of holding it down, and Inferno Rider just whacks the air.
Yeah,
Then when
yeah.
you're done going wherever you want to go, just swap back to your main team who's got all the damage echoes on. Impermanence Heron can only be used while you're on the ground, but if you hold the Echo skill, it actually launches you a little bit into the air. I'm not exactly sure if this is useful for anything, but
that's
it
pretty
might give
cool.
you a bit of a boost if you need it somewhere.
Didn't realize.
Remember
if you
how I
hold it down,
mentioned
that's
that
what
water
happens.
sucks? Well, some echoes can actually be used for movement in midair, including the little herons. So if you really want to go places, you can do something like give GN a heron
Okay,
and
yeah.
alternate between gliding, dashing midair for an extra
I mean,
boost,
I don't personally
using
see
his
a point in
resonance
that,
skill,
but if you
and
want to do
using
that,
his echo
fair
skill.
enough.
With all this combined, you can cross much larger distances than you'd ordinarily be able to. And I just think it's so cool that the more you explore these systems, the more cool things you can find, the more joy you can get out of something as simple as movement. I've seen some
Where is this place? Because this place is beautiful. I've probably gone past it so many times.
really cool techniques out there that I don't even know how to pull off yet.
Where are they? Where
I've seen some really cool techniques out there that
where actually are they? Can someone tell me in the comments where this is? If anyone that is subscribed to my YouTube also follows my Twitch at twitch.tv/AmethystAbrams, and if they could guide me to this area, this would be awesome.
But I don't even know how to pull off yet, and that just gets me so excited. Backflipping in itself is a really useful way to gain some extra height and get up on surfaces you might not be able to with a normal jump.
And it's good for style points. Just backflip, sure.
Definitely make sure not to sleep on that, like I do. The sheer verticality of the terrain in Huanglong really lends itself to this idea that movement should be fun and every step you take should be something that you enjoy. Just to hammer in that point, the grapple is a utility that you can use on...
The grapple is such a good mechanic to have, not only to grapple onto the points that zip you forward, but also just in free roam. If you want to get that extra height in a jump, like you jump, grapple, then do like the double jump in midair, it's so useful. So useful. Such a good mechanic.
Cooldown, which will allow you to gain some extra height. Combine that with some other techniques and you'll be surprised at how creative you can get. But there are also context-sensitive grapple points that you can use just by facing and work without swapping your utility out in case you don't have the grapple equipped, and they have no cooldown. So there are plenty of opportunities to Spider-Man your way across the world as well. And it's so fast that it feels great. It's always the best.
It is a very good way to traverse Huanglong, like it is, or Jinzhou, whatever it's called, the city. The city's huge, right? The city's absolutely massive. So having this mechanic, just you zipping along like Spider-Man, is so good, and it feels so nice as well.
Option whenever it presents itself. I would love to see even more of these spread across the world going forward.
Yeah, I'd like more of these around the world too. It's a good, yeah.
Seriously, it is so good that you do not need to have your grapple equipped to use these. The game's only been out for a few weeks at this point, but ever since the first closed beta test, I have been absolutely...
That's what Yinlin used to look like? Well, they improved.
Absolutely smitten with the movement in this game. It's the #1 thing that keeps me coming back.
The movement in this game, whether you're in combat or not, is one of the things that most people enjoy in this game. People enjoy the combat and they enjoy the exploration just because of the movement, because of the perfect dodges, because of the running up the walls, because of the grappling, because of just how they've put the mechanics of exploration movement and combat movement together. It rolls off the tongue. It's a chef's kiss.
Even more so than the combat itself, which is also excellent. This barely scratches the surface of what you can do with movement in Wuthering Waves, and I would love to hear your favorite movement tips in the comments. And while the movement feels almost perfect, the same can't be said about the game's launch, but in this video, you can find out just how far the developers went to fix it.
Oh yeah, no, the developers went ham. The developers went crazy to fix this game. They're still releasing hotfixes now, but when the game first came out, they were releasing hotfixes left, right, and center, which absolutely was a great thing for the game, and I'm so glad they did it. But there you go, guys. That is the movement is the best thing about Wuthering Waves video by Rate Up Ratio. Go sub to Rate Up Ratio. She's actually a really, really good content creator, really knowledgeable on the game, has a lot of really cool information videos out there. So I recommend going checking her out. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Take it easy, everyone.